What's up, everybody? It's the Alex Leak and Friends NFL podcast back for another week. It's the 2018 off season, and we keep going through it. Waiting for the season to start. We got a special guest on this week. You guys are in luck. We got a 12-year NFL vet and Super Bowl champion tackle Roman Oben. Thanks so much for coming on the show, Roman.
My pleasure. How's everything going?
Good, man. How about you?
Excellent.
So I got a lot, some good questions here for you. Let's start at the beginning. So you actually, were you born in Cameroon and moved to the United States?
Yeah, I was born in Cameroon and then moved to the States, around age 4 or 5, and then grew up in the nation's capital in Washington, D.C., so I grew up a big risk. I actually worked at RFK Stadium when I was a kid.
Nice.
Selling popcorn and pretzels and, doing concessions. So I remember growing up watching all those 80s Redskins teams.
Nice.
Joe Theismann and John Reagan, the Hogs, when I was a kid. Obviously the Mark Rippon years, those they won. I think they won 3 Super Bowls, 3 different quarterbacks over like a 8-year span. So that was like my whole childhood. So that's when the Redskins were pretty relevant in football come playoff season.
So growing up being a Redskins fan, is that a big reason why you got into football?
Well, I think every kid grows up, kind of rooting for their hometown team.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I live in New York, and so you got Giants fans, Jets fans, you got, fans of everybody. But I think it's awesome to just be a fan of the game, and I think that's something that we can never lose sight of that. Just being a fan of the game, and the game's changed, and football got more, technologically savvy, and the game's coached and played differently, but it's still a fun game to watch. I think now that I'm a little older, I can still enjoy being a fan of the NFL and watching these young guys really compete at a high level.
Yeah, absolutely. I asked that because I looked in high school. You attended Gonzaga College High School and Fork Union Military Academy, and you were pretty good at track and field as well as football. What made you decide football over track and field?
Well, football, you get a full scholarship, so and I was actually able to throw in college too. So I threw in the springtime like my first 3 years. I had an injury after my redshirt sophomore year. I broke my leg, so it was hard to get that off season to do football and track coming out of spring ball. But track, gave you that kind of individuality with doing track in the off season, and I was pretty good. I was all state, and I was nationally ranked at some point in the season, and I enjoyed it. I enjoy doing it, and it's always awesome you can represent your school in fall and spring.
Yeah, speaking of that, you actually set a record at Fork Union for a discus that stood for 21 years and just was broken in 2012. That's a pretty good accomplishment.
Yeah, well, I kept wishing somebody else would break it, so it was pretty. I think Vinny Testaverde might still have the javelin record, something like 200 feet. So that's like a 40 or 30-year record.
Wow.
So you had some pretty good track athletes that played football back in the day. So athletes weren't training back then. You guys, a lot of folks training just for football now, and everything's kind of one sport. But back then, your good athletes played all the sports. So you might have a quarterback that's also a point guard. And then they may run a 100 or 200 meter in the springtime too. So, sports has changed. The whole landscape has changed. But at least I appreciate, when the athletes can play multiple sports.
Yeah, absolutely. You ended up going to Louisville. Can you tell me what that recruitment was like, and why did you choose Louisville?
Well, I felt like there were a lot of things going on during recruiting, and when I went to Fort Union, recruiting changed. I just started getting recruited by more southern schools, and so Louisville that year was 1991. They won the Fiesta Bowl. They actually beat Alabama, and that's an Alabama team that won the national championship 2 years later. So I think that was. It was good. It was kind of a team on the rise, and I felt like I could go there and make impact. And it's kind of along the lines, in those 90s, you had a lot of those basketball schools that also had good football programs, like Syracuse, those type of schools. So I felt like Louisville was kind of that kind of school.
Nice. And then coming out of Louisville, you were drafted in the third round, 66 overall by the New York Giants in the '96 draft. What was your draft experience like? Did you think did you want to go higher? Did you think you went in an appropriate spot? What was your feeling coming out of the draft?
Well, I always there was a thought that I would have left early, probably got drafted higher, and then when I stayed my senior year, I didn't have as good of a senior year, I don't think, and then I felt like I had to get heavier for the scouts, and then
Mm-hmm.
I got heavier and then ran slower at times in the combine. So I think that plus dealing with scrutiny your senior year, and I felt like I at least walked into the NFL a lot more mature, and I felt like I played with guys that were high first round picks throughout my years. I'm like, man, this guy goes in the second, third, fourth round. Maybe he has a better career because he just walked in the door and not dealing with that scrutiny being a first rounder. So
Mm-hmm.
I think things work out the way they do, and you're not guaranteed. The average career is about 3.5, 4 years, and I played 12, so I think that's a blessing that I was able to play that long. Win a Super Bowl and being a starting left tackle for the majority of my career.
Absolutely. What does it mean to you to be? You were the first Cameroon-born player ever drafted into the NFL. What does that mean to you?
It was awesome. When you growing up as a kid, everyone knew who Christian Okoye was. The Nigerian Nightmare, and he was, obviously a Nigerian, but you never knew how the script was going to be written. To be honest, you never knew if when you're going through that and you're living through history, you're just kind of going through it on your own, and then you look back on it. And I think my uncle was the one that told me that. You had a there were kids kind of born in America, like Ndamukong Suh's Cameroonian, but I think he's got a Cameroonian mom, or no, Cameroonian dad and a Jamaican mom, but he
Okay.
wasn't born in Cameroon. So you got like Johnson Batamosi, you got a couple Cameroonian guys that did play, but not. I mean, most NFL players or players are like Nigerian.
Mm-hmm.
We got that kid from the Sixers, 76ers, Jordan Embiid, he's Cameroonian. So
Okay.
you're starting to get some Cameroon pro athletes. We're still soccer country, but hopefully you get a good tall athlete that maybe plays through the ranks and America goes to high school in America and goes to the college ranks, and you never know.
Nice. And then you get drafted by the Giants. You were there for 4 years. After your rookie year, you did 3 straight seasons of playing, starting all 16 games. What was your time like in New York?
I love it here. I love the Giants organization. Obviously, I live in this area now. I love the Mara family and the Tisch family. I think they're just a great organization, and I think the fact that I was able to play for 4 different teams, you kind of learn a little bit from every team you play on. You learn a little bit about the different fan bases and the different types of people. And I mean, this is obviously the melting pot of America here in New York City, and obviously LA too, and Chicago. Some of the bigger cities. And so it was kind of cool playing in like a big city.
Yeah.
And then leaving here, going to Cleveland, and Cleveland to Tampa, winning the Super Bowl in Tampa, and then ending in San Diego. I felt like I had a good balanced career, and the fact that me and my family were able to live in different parts of the country. Most people don't get that experience. So I was always grateful to the cities I lived in.
Speaking of that Tampa team in 2002, you were the starting left tackle for that team. That's one of my favorite teams of all time. That defense was so nasty. Can you tell me what the feeling's like to start in the Super Bowl and just to play on that stage?
Well, I tell a lot of people that that Super Bowl was the last Super Bowl played that didn't have a bye week between the NFC AFC Championship and the Super Bowl. I mean, we played that Super Bowl was like January 26th of '03. Most Super Bowls are sometime in February. So
Wow.
it was like a 10-day turnaround between the championship game, the NFC Championship, and then Super Bowl Sunday. So it was. I mean, I'm sorry, 7 day turnaround, but in terms of preparation for the game, it went really fast, and it was a great team. And I think a lot of people say that it was Tony Dungy's team, but it was John Gruden's offense.
Mm-hmm.
And I think getting guys like myself, Joe Jurevicius, Ken Dilger, I mean, the list goes on. If you look at that offensive roster, it was really a revamp from what the Dungy's Buccaneers team previously had offensively. So I think that was really the balance that created, helped us get over the hump.
Nice. So then you ended your career with the San Diego Chargers, the then San Diego Chargers. You'd play all 16 games in 2004, but then you would get a foot injury that would was almost career-threatening. So then you became a player mentor to the young Chargers offensive line. What was that like, and what did you try to instill the young up-and-coming offensive linemen with?
Back then, you had guys like Chris Dillman and Nick Hardwick, who became Pro Bowl guys, and it was awesome to see those guys when they were younger. And I think for me, my thing was just helping them prepare. And I mean, there's a guy by the name of Greg Bishop who did that for me and taught me how to be professional and taught me how to prepare every week. John Masco was my O-line coach when I was younger. Who's still the O-line coach for the Carolina Panthers. I mean, the stuff I learned when I was younger, like I gave that to the younger guys when I was older. So I think to see how those guys ended up doing, and you block it for someone like LaDain Thompson and Darren Sproles and Mike Turner, and we had some really talented teams that 04 to 08 stretch in San Diego. So I think we never won the big one, unfortunately, but I think it was good to at least turn that community around. And there was a stretch where you had guys that had never seen anything less than like a 10-6 season between 03, 04, up to like 08, 09. I mean, that was, and it was good to see that the Chargers were able to do that.
Yeah, those are some great Chargers teams. You have an impressive career. I would say your longevity was real impressive. 130 games started in your NFL career, 143 games total. Just a model of consistency at the left tackle position, exactly what any NFL roster would want. What would you say you would want your NFL legacy to be?
Well, I think playing in the league is really about maximizing your ability, and I think I've played with guys that were Division II, 1AA guys that fought every year to make it on special teams, and I played with guys that were Hall of Famers, like Strahan, Warren Sapp, and Dan Thompson. I mean, those kind of guys have gold jackets on in Canton, Ohio, and I think it's when I look back on the career, I think I'd like to say that I maximized my ability. I was never I was right at 6'4", about 305. Playing left tackle in the National Football League and blocking some of the best ends, from Dwight Freeney to Javon Curse to Bruce Smith and Chris Dolman. I mean, you play against everybody. Hugh Douglas, I mean, guys that then there's a bunch of guys that people don't know about. I mean, the majority of the league are guys that just work really hard and just show up every Sunday and lead and try to feed your family. I mean, it's not an easy job to have, and nothing's guaranteed. So again, I just want to be known as someone who just maximizes ability on every Sunday and every day of the week.
Absolutely, and I think you definitely did that. Hell of a career. You were quoted. You said at one time, I'm 40 years old and going on 65 or feeling 65. How are you holding up, and do you have any regrets? I mean, you played in one of the most physical eras of the NFL, in my opinion. How do you feel about the league then and the league now? How do you feel about improving long-term player health and the quality of products in the field and all that?
Well, I think it's a better game now than it was when I played. I think it was coached better. It's off seasons are there's more quality off season, and then you have better athletes. You got a culture of guys that have been training and going to quarterback camps since like 5th, 6th grade. I mean, it's a different level of athlete. Some of us didn't do that type of training until we got to college. And so. But I think in terms of physically, we had my issue. I had some knee scopes and some things like that, and some foot injuries. And just being a lineman, you're gonna get your knee, shoulder, and all that stuff. And when you get older, you gotta just be careful, but with your hips and lower back and all that. But I think this generation has benefited from a lot of adults are just training, competitive training, and doing yoga and Pilates, and just I'm mid-40s, so. I've learned to just take care of my body and not let diet and exercise fail and just making sure that I'm in good shape. So, I played in a hard era. I played when you had big running backs and fullbacks, ISO plays and running power. And you had guys like Jerome Bettis and Eddie George, Ray Lewis. Mm-hmm. I mean, that was a different era than it is now. It's now a little more space football and mismatch football, but I think it's still a better game, and I'm appreciative of the years that I played. And look, I blocked for quarterbacks that are still playing. Drew Brees and Phil Rivers are still in the NFL, so it shows that a good player is a good player, whether it's 1996, 2006, or 2016. So I'm really proud of that side.
Nice. What are some players and coaches going along with that? You talked about a lot of some great names that you played with and against. Who are some players and coaches that you would credit with having the biggest impact on your professional game and developing you into the player that you were able to become?
Well, I love my offensive line coaches for sure, but I would say John Masco, who's the coach of Carolina. Hal Hunter, who's the coach of the Giants right now. He had later in San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
Cam Cameron as an offensive coordinator.
Nice.
I think Cam later in my career, him, Hudson Hawk. One thing I loved about Cam, when we had LaDaine Thompson, we had a fullback, and we were playing like 90s football again. And I think and things were really simple. Things really simplified when we in that era later in my career, and obviously playing under Coach Gruden, winning a Super Bowl, and at the time, my first year as a starter was '97. No one had ever gone undefeated in the NFC East, at the time. So we went, I think, 7-0-1.
Yeah.
We had one tie with the Redskins. So I think, I look at that, and then all the players, I mentioned some of the players I played with, but there are a lot of guys, offensive linemen, that guys that taught me the right way, and guys that I played with and that, guys don't even know about. So, I mean, people only remember about a third of the guys that played, fans, but that locker room got 53 people and 8 practice squad and, guys that are on IR. I mean, it takes everybody to win in the National Football League. So I'm always appreciative of everybody and every teammate I had. Any guy that played one day on the practice team and got cut, I mean, those guys, everyone sacrificed, so I appreciate that.
Nice. All right, last question here. What are you? I believe currently you're the NFL director of youth and high school football.
Vice president, yes.
Okay. Can you tell me a little bit of the things that you're doing and the things you're doing to help improve the game and make it better long term going forward?
Well, I think there's a focus on safety now with the game, and we advocate for safety. We want to help grow participation. Just try to get a football in every kid's hand, and that grows fandom, that grows players, that grows affinity of the game. We want to make sure that we include all the partners, the broadcast partners, ESPN, Nike, and other partners, and make sure that they're showing a positive youth message. And we want to make sure we work with players and coaches, current and former, and all the 32 NFL teams that make sure that they're maximizing the youth football focus, parents, coaches in their communities as well. So I'm appreciative of that type of work.
Awesome. Great interview. Thanks so much for coming on, Oben. This was an honor for us, and really appreciate it. And thanks for taking the time to come on my show.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
Yep. All right. Thanks, and have a great day.
All right. Thank you.
Yep. See ya. All right, that'll do it for this week's Alex Leak and Friends NFL podcast. We'll be back next week, and thanks for tuning in, and we'll continue to put out some guests, and hope you guys like this one, and we'll be back again soon. All right, guys, have a good one. Peace out.